everyone, it's Empress Moxie. Welcome and welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about what to expect when starting your locks with braids. So basically we're talking about braid locks today. 3-strand twist, plaits, whatever you want to call it. We're going to talk about what you should expect during this journey. So as I've said multiple times, my locks are braid locks. They're not sister locks. I started my locks with braids. Most people that I know may start their locks with twists or finger coils, but I started mine with braids. I like to put up a sort of disclaimer that because everyone's lock journey is different, don't expect to have the same results as everyone, but these things are very common in the braid lock journey. So here we go. So when you first start your locks with braids, it will look like the style that you started it with. So in this case, with your braid lock, it will look like braids the first few weeks. Just like when people start their locks with twists, it looks like twists the first few weeks into the lock journey because that's the style that you started with. Another thing is your hair will not lock until at least 6 months in. It won't begin to lock until 6 months in. So what I'd like to say that everyone else says during the lock journey is be patient, because you can't expect your hair to lock overnight. It'll take a while before your hair begins to realize that, okay, you're not going to take this style out, this is permanent. So now your hair is going to start forming, it's going to start, what do you call it, mushing together, locking basically. So it's gonna take at least 6 months to a year before you see anything start to lock. And with our braid pattern, this is what I want to make the most key known thing. With your braid pattern, it's gonna take a while for that braid pattern to go away. So even when your hair begins to lock, the part that you started with is going to be evident still for a while. I'm 2 years into my lock journey, and the braids that I started with, they're still evident. So for example, this right here is all of my growth over the 2 years, and this right here is what I started with. Let me see. So you can still see the braids that I started with right there. See? And this right here is what I interlocked. So that'll happen. The braid pattern will take a longer while to go away. That's the only thing that I would say is like, I don't know. It's not a bummer for me. It's not something that I see as a disadvantage. But if you're someone who wants your hair to be uniformed by at least 2 years into your lock journey, maybe you want to start with twists. But with braid locks, the braid pattern is going to be evident for a while because of the fact that it's 3-stranded style. I wanted to show y'all again a better example of the fact that the braid pattern takes a while to go. So this is literally what I started with. Right here is what I started with my braid lock journey, and up here is everything of my growth. So yeah, but it's beautiful regardless. All of what I've interlocked so far, it looks like locks, but at the bottom it looks like braids. So you know, and with what I said that it takes 6 months at least before you see your hair to start locking, this is dependent on your hair texture. So if you have a looser hair texture with your braid locks, it'll probably take a longer time until your hair starts to lock. Because my hair texture and curl pattern is more tight because it's 4C, it may have locked faster than those with looser hair. So all I have to say is don't manipulate your hair much. Just be patient. Don't keep on touching it and looking at it every day like, oh, when is it gonna? Just be patient. And there is no secret to locking your hair faster, because you might do something to damage your locks if you try to do it instantly, or something on YouTube that says, oh, if you spray lemon juice on your locks, it'll lock faster. No, relax yourself. Don't do all of these quick fixes. This is not a quick journey. This is a life journey. This is a lifestyle. Okay, just relax and enjoy the ride. Okay, so when you begin to wash your locks, I would say after the first 6 weeks of having your locks in, you're gonna do your first wash. Sometimes depending on hair texture, again, it may unravel. But I would say the advantage with braid locks is because it's a 3-strand twist or braids, it'll be more put together, so it won't have a likelihood of unraveling like maybe twist or coil locks started that way, because of the fact that braids hold together. But if you have a looser hair pattern, it may unravel in the back areas because the backs may be what do you call it, more, I don't know what's the word, but the back may come out faster. That's what I experienced, because the hair texture at the back of my hair is looser. Okay, so the back braid locks, when I was starting my braid locks and did my first few wash, they continuously would unravel a bit and I'd have to just braid it back. So you may bump into that challenge depending on your hair texture in certain parts of your hair. Okay, another thing is it will get frizzy. There will be times where it gets frizzy, and that is normal. It is normal to have frizzy hair the first few months into your lock journey, because that is just how it is. When you're washing your hair, there will be frizz on the ends and sides of your locks. Do not continuously do anything to try and make it more neat or more uniform looking, because even the next wash and the next wash is gonna look frizzy. It's normal. Okay, so just like you have the frizzy stage and the unraveling stage, you also have a stage where your locks look like they're shrinking, or it just looks shorter after washing, because of the fact that your hair is just in one place and it's just sucking in all the moisture. Your hair is just gonna do what it do, period. So during that phase of having your locks look like it's shrinking, you may feel like your locks are not gonna grow, or you're gonna feel like, oh, they're supposed to grow. Don't worry about growth. Don't worry about that yet. Your hair is figuring out the stages it's going through. So whatever is going on with your hair, don't let it bother you too much. And the growth, I promise you, it will happen like that. It'll just keep going, because once your locks begin to grow, it doesn't stop. It just sprouts. So I was like, I will say 11 months in until I started to see extra growth, because like I said, I used the hair growth oil, but that didn't really do much in the beginning. It still didn't do much in the beginning, but after I reached 11 months to a year, my hair started to grow. Each month I would see growth. So just be patient, again. You know, and I'd also like to say, with all of these stages, like the frizzing, the shrinkage, the unraveling, sometimes it may make us feel like imperfect or feel not so beautiful, but this is a journey you're going through. You're gonna learn a lot about self-love, confidence. This is a self-development journey, so don't worry yourself. You are beautiful. There's nothing ugly about locks. Just because your hair doesn't look as neat or as whatever standards people would put on you or label, it's okay. It's hair and it's your journey, so don't worry yourself. Don't feel ugly. Don't feel like less of anything, because you're more than all of that. All right, another thing is with braid locks, when you start, it'll be a little thin, or you're gonna have to get used to the fact that your hair looks more flat, or just not as poofy as it may be. Maybe you had an afro before, or maybe you had fuller hair that was out there. Now that you have locks, your hair is gonna just stay like this, stagnant like that. So that's normal. You're gonna reach a stage when maybe your hair feels stiff and not so malleable. That's also normal. And also you may feel like it's not thickened, because when you first start, your hair is gonna be thinner. Now that I'm into 2 years into my lock journey, this actually doubled in size, because before this it was just a teeny strand. So based upon the size that you started with, expect it to double after at least 1.5 years into your braid lock journey. Just be patient. Again, that's the main thing that I want everyone to understand. This takes patience, so don't rush it. Don't try to find a quick fix. Just go along with the ride. Be patient. All right, another thing that I feel like a lot of people will stumble upon, especially if you do it yourself. If you're a DIY person like me, I do my locks myself when tightening everything every month with interlocking, washing. If you do that yourself, you have to be careful of combining your locks, especially if you use the interlocking method. So when you're doing the crisscross and everything, sometimes because my locks were so small, I would accidentally join two together. So what I had to do at one point was cut one of the two because that one was thinning because I accidentally joined it. So you will have to be careful of that. When you're interlocking, make sure you're interlocking with care, and have some hair bands, not elastic bands, just hair bands like the regular scrunchies, and separate your locks so that you can carefully interlock it. The last thing to expect is people will always feel the need to ask you questions. They're always gonna want to know, oh my god, are those braids? Who did your braids? They're gonna say that to you because the pattern of your braids, they're gonna be evident for at least a year into your journey. It's gonna be there. So this is something that I noticed is different between the lock journeys depending on how you start your locks. Because we start them with braids, a lot of people will think you have braids and mistake them for braids for a while. They're gonna be like, oh, who did your braids? You have them in a long while, huh? That looks really good. And they'll want to touch it, they'll want to look closer because they're very inquisitive. But remember, it's your space, and you can let who you want to let in, and you can disagree to let someone into your space, but you know, do it nicely. You know, I don't feel like being touched, or no, I don't think that's appropriate. Please don't touch my hair. You know, if you don't want someone to touch your hair, just say that. It's your hair. So be aware of that. People are gonna ask all throughout your journey. Even now, it's even worse now because now it's locking. Now people are realizing that it's locking. They're asking me, oh, who did your sister locks? These are not sister locks. These are small braid locks. I have to continuously tell people I don't have sister locks, and they'll ask me, oh, who did it? I'm like, I do them myself. Would you like me to do it for you? You know, you can also make money. If you're a DIYer, just perfect your craft and go out there and help other people start on their lock journey. But I hope I touched base on most of it. Let me know in the comments if there was anything that I missed on what you should expect when starting your locks with braid locks. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell so you can get more videos like these. I hope you're all staying safe and continuing on in your braid lock journey. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.